Solutions.
Hello, everyone. Good day. My name is Edmund, and I am the registered migration agent of Aussie Migration and Visa Professional Solutions. Today, we will be talking about visitor visa, focus on parents of Australian citizens and permanent residents. Now, we know that parents of Australian citizens or permanent residents usually come to Australia for different purposes. Now, if the purpose of coming to Australia is for long term, then they can apply for 870 temporary parent visa. However, if the purpose of coming to Australia is only to celebrate Christmas or spend a year, then the option would be visitor visa. Now, in our discussion today, we will learn that there are two types of visitor visa where the parent can apply. So this is the tourist stream or the family sponsored stream. Now for today's information session, we will discuss more about the details of the visitor visa under the tourist stream and the family sponsored stream. I'll share my screen. So there you go, visitor visa. Now, as I mentioned, there are two types of streams. Now, the first stream is the tourist stream. Now, the visitor visa under the tourist stream lets the parents or any person visit Australia as a tourist to see family and friends or for purposes other than business or medical treatment. Why not for business? Because this is not intended for doing an activity that is related to business inside Australia. Well, you can apply for that type of visa or for medical treatment. If you come to Australia for purposes of medical treatment, then you apply for that particular visa corresponding to such concern. Now, what are the criteria for the visitor visa under the tourist stream? Number one, must intend to come to Australia to visit only. Now, the word itself, tourist, that means you're gonna come to Australia to visit scenic and tourist spots, such as the Dandenong Ranges, the 12 Apostles, the city of Melbourne, or the city of Sydney. Second, have enough money for your stay in Australia. This is one of the important criteria for subclass 600 visitor visa. You must have money to support your stay in Australia. And not only that, you must also convince that you have genuine access to those funds while you are inside Australia. Other criteria is that you are not allowed to work inside Australia on a visitor visa. And you must be outside Australia when you apply and we decide this visa. This refers to offshore applications. Now take note that if you are already inside Australia on a visitor visa, you need not go out of Australia to apply. You can extend your visitor visa application while you are inside Australia. Now, what are the conditions? First, you can study or train for up to 3 months. But if your main reason for traveling to Australia is to study, then a student visa might be more appropriate. Now, take note that student visa is for generally for studying. Now, if your intention is to visit friends, go to scenic spots, then your visa should be visitor visa under the tourist stream. But take note that you're allowed to study, but only for up to 3 months. You can't work. So if you work while you are on a visitor visa, then that is a violation of your visa condition, and you might be removed in Australia. And take note that if there is a no further stay condition, 8503 condition attached to your visa, then you need to go outside Australia to reapply. But this 8503 no further stay condition usually is not attached for Filipino visa holders. Now, let's talk about parents of Australian citizens and residents. Now, if applicant is the parent or step-parent of an Australian citizen or permanent resident and meet all the visa criteria, a granted visa can be valid for more than 12 months. So that duration, 12 months, is not usually given for any other type of applicants. But if you're the parent or a step-parent of an Australian, then you can be granted a valid visa for 12 months. If you are not a parent, then on your first application, you can only be granted for at least 3 months. Or on your second application, you can only be granted for at least 6 months. But for parents, even if it's your first time application, the duration can be for more than 12 months. If the visa is valid for more than 12 months, applicant might be able to enter Australia multiple times while the visa is valid. So that means within the duration of 12 months, as stated in the visa grant, you can go back to the Philippines and then come again to Australia without applying for a new visitor visa, because it states you can enter Australia multiple times while the visa is valid. Now, let's discuss the family-sponsored stream. Now, I mentioned that the type of visa a parent must apply will depend on the purpose and the duration of his or her intended stay in Australia. If he plans to come to Australia more than a year, then he can apply for the 870 parent visa. Or if most of her children or majority of her children is Australian citizen or permanent resident, then he can apply for other family visas, parent visas. Now, for sponsored family stream, with this visa, you can visit family and friends or be in Australia as a tourist for a cruise or for any purpose except for medical or business treatment, and study for 3 months, and you cannot work. So same with the conditions and the eligibility requirements for the tourist stream. Length of stay, this is a temporary visa, and the department might grant it for up to 12 months. The length of visa is determined on a case-to-case basis. Things to consider in determining the stay period include the length you want to stay inside Australia and why do you want to stay in Australia. Most reasons given: attend baptism or attend Christmas celebration or wedding. Now, it depends on what you write in the letter of invitation, how long the parents be in Australia, depending on your needs. Now, generally, this visa is granted with only one entry permitted. This means that after you leave Australia, you need to apply for another visa before you can return. Now, travel. If the granted visa is with multiple entries, the visitor visa holder can travel outside Australia and return as many times as possible while the visa is valid. I already made a discussion about that. If the granted visa is a single entry visa, that means while you are inside Australia, you cannot go out unless you'd like to reapply again, because it's only a single entry visa. Even if the duration of the visa has not yet lapsed, but because it's a single entry visa, then you cannot re-enter on that visa and you need to reapply. Health insurance. Now, this is required for family-sponsored stream and is recommended to cover any unforeseen medical treatment that might be needed in Australia. Visitor visa holders personally liable for all your healthcare costs while you are in Australia, and insurance can help limit financial liability. Now, what are the requirements for the family-sponsored stream? First, you must be a genuine visitor. Second, have a sponsor family member in Australia. Now, let's discuss later what constitutes a family member. And if a family member wants to sponsor the applicant without becoming a sponsor, then a visitor visa under the tourist stream may be applied and provide a letter of invitation from the family member. Also, you must have enough money and you must show genuine access to funds while you are inside Australia. You must meet the character and also the health requirements. Now, sponsors' eligibility requirements. The sponsor must be the partner or the spouse, the parent, or the child, or the brother, the grandparent, the aunt, the niece, or the step equivalent of the above. Now, if you are outside of this enumeration, then you cannot apply. I mean, say for example, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, they cannot be considered as an eligible sponsor because they are not included in the enumeration. Now, what do you mean by settled Australian citizen? Settled Australian means the sponsor must have lived in Australia for the last 2 years and must be 18 years old. So take note of that. The family member must also be settled or have lived in Australia for the last 2 years and must be 18 years old. Requirement: if the department will require to pay a security bond, it's usually between 5,000 to 15,000 AUD per person, that must be observed and must be paid in full before the department makes a final decision on the visa. But take note that it will be refunded if the visitor complies with the visa conditions and leaves Australia before the visa expires. So it's just a bond. So it will stay there and be refunded after the expiration of the visa. Now, limitations on sponsorship. This refers to the Australian citizen or permanent resident. The sponsor can currently sponsor a visitor who was granted a subclass 600 and the new applicant is not part of the members of the family unit of the visitor you are already sponsoring. And number 2, if in the last 5 years this Australian citizen or permanent resident have sponsored someone who was granted a subclass 600 visa or a sponsored visitor visa which has now ceased and who did not abide by the conditions of their visa. So take note of that. If the person sponsored did not abide by the conditions of their visa, then the sponsor might not be able to sponsor again. Now, I think that's all. Thank you so much for your time and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you have dreams, abutin, make it happen. Come on and study Australia with AMVPS. Let's make your future bright with AMVPS. Legal migration, education, pangarapin maabot na. AMVPS, ang kasama mo.
best feelings in life is having moments with the ones you love, even if you're far away from each other. Despite being 1,000 miles apart, our feelings haven't changed. Being beside you is a wish that I've long desired. With professional help, the long wait is over. Bridge the gap with Aussie Migration and Visa Professional Solutions. You can study, work, or live in Australia. With the help of our experts, you can fix your migration and visa application efficiently. Now, love doesn't have to be distant. Call us now.